You ever notice how sometimes God starts whispering things to you that your heart isn't even ready to believe yet? You've been praying, hoping, maybe even crying yourself to sleep saying, God, when is it my turn? And suddenly you start hearing little confirmations, little signs that make your spirit jump, but then your mind tries to talk you out of it because it doesn't make sense, right? You've been single for so long. You've healed from heartbreak. You've outgrown situations that used to define you. And now God's saying, marriage is coming for you. You want to believe it, but you're scared to get your hopes up again. You're scared to believe something beautiful could actually be for you this time. But let me tell you something, when God starts giving confirmation, he's not teasing you. He's not dangling a dream in front of you to disappoint you. He's letting you know that what he's been preparing you for is finally aligning with what he's been preparing for you. See, we often think marriage is just about finding the right person, but God is saying, no, I'm developing you to be ready for what you've been praying for. You've gone through a season of pruning, isolation, and refinement because God wasn't just preparing your partner. He was transforming your perspective. He had to heal your trust, restore your identity, and remind you of your worth, because a broken version of you would have mishandled what the whole version of you is now ready to receive. And that's why the confirmation is coming now. That's why you're feeling this stirring in your spirit. It's not a coincidence. It's alignment. You're not crazy for feeling like God is talking to you about marriage in this season. You're not overthinking. You're not desperate. You're discerning because God is confirming what's already in motion. The reason it feels different this time is because you're different this time. You're not rushing. You're not trying to prove anything. You're resting. You're allowing God to take the lead. And in that surrender, you've made room for something divine to find you. The same God who kept you single for purpose is now calling you into partnership for destiny. It's wild, isn't it? How the very thing you thought God forgot about becomes the thing he brings up when you least expect it. But that's the pattern of grace. It finds you when you've stopped striving. It meets you in your peace. God isn't sending marriage to complete you. He's sending it to complement you. The confirmation isn't coming because you're lonely. It's coming because you're ready. You've reached a level of emotional and spiritual maturity where love won't distract you, it will develop you. This is why your spirit recognizes the season even before your mind does. You can feel that something is shifting. You can sense that someone is being positioned. You don't have all the details, but you know God is up to something. And listen, the confirmation doesn't always show up as a voice or a dream. Sometimes it's a deep inner peace about a promise you can't explain. Sometimes it's doors that used to close now opening with ease. Sometimes it's God bringing people into your life who reflect the qualities you've been praying for, but not in the way you expected. That's because divine timing rarely looks like human timing. When God orchestrates destiny, he's not working according to your timeline. He's working according to your transformation. So if you've been feeling like love is closer than it's ever been, don't dismiss it. Don't second guess it. This is your confirmation that God is not only preparing someone for you, he's aligning your paths in a way that will make his glory undeniable. You've waited. You've grown, and now heaven is echoing what your heart has quietly believed all along. Marriage is coming for you. God is really sending clear confirmation. You thought your singleness was a delay, but God was using it as divine preparation. Because what looks like a waiting room to you is often a training ground to God. You weren't being punished, you were being perfected. There were lessons you could only learn in solitude. There were versions of you that had to die before you could step into partnership. See, we often romanticize marriage without realizing that love will always expose the parts of us that still need healing. And God, in His mercy, didn't want to rush you into something that your old wounds would sabotage. He wanted to build you strong enough to sustain the very thing you've been praying for. In your singleness, He taught you how to love yourself. He showed you that you are whole even without a plus one. You learned to enjoy your own company, to find joy in His presence, to discover the rhythm of your purpose outside of anyone else's validation. That was intentional. Because the person God has for you will not be your source. They will be your partner. God needed to strip away every illusion that you needed someone to make you feel valuable so that when love comes, you'll receive it as a gift, not a necessity. You see, when you stop idolizing marriage, you finally become ready for the kind God ordains. You stopped saying, Lord, I just need someone, and started praying, Lord, make me ready for the one. That shift in your spirit changed everything. That's when healing took root. That's when clarity started to flow. You began to recognize that this season wasn't about loneliness. It was about alignment. It was about God healing your attachment to the wrong things and the wrong people so that when the right person arrives, you won't question their place in your story. Your singleness became the soil where your confidence grew. You learned to set boundaries, to honor your time, to guard your heart, and to discern intentions. You learned how to walk away from anything that compromised your peace. That was God teaching you how to steward the love He's sending. Because a healed person doesn't chase, they attract. A healed person doesn't cling, they connect. A healed person doesn't lose themselves in love, they rise in it. The truth is, preparation always feels like isolation until you see the fruit. You didn't realize it, but those nights you felt unseen, those seasons where you thought you were being overlooked, God was actually protecting you from being mishandled. He was saying, not yet, because what I have for you requires a version of you that still needs refining. And now that the refining is producing fruit, now that you're walking in peace and maturity, God is whispering, it's time. So when you start feeling that nudge in your spirit that love is coming, don't dismiss it. Remember what God had to do to get you here. You're not stepping into marriage from a place of desperation. You're stepping into it from a place of destiny. The waiting didn't weaken you, it strengthened you. You now understand that being single wasn't the absence of love, it was the presence of growth. It was God writing the preface to a love story He authored long before you knew how to pray for it. He didn't forget you. He was forming you. Every tear, every prayer, every lonely moment, it all had purpose. You had to experience life with God first so that when He brings you someone, your foundation won't be fragile. You'll love from wholeness, not from hunger. You'll give from abundance, not from emptiness. That's the power of divine preparation. That's why your singleness wasn't punishment. It was the proving ground for your promise. There's a peace that comes when you finally stop trying to make things happen in your own strength. You've reached a place where you're no longer anxious about when or how God will do it. You just know that He will, because divine timing doesn't operate through pressure, panic, or performance. It manifests through peace. That's how you know it's God. When something is from Him, it doesn't cause confusion. It doesn't stir up chaos, and it doesn't make you question your worth. Instead, it settles your soul. It brings clarity where there used to be fear. It brings rest where there used to be striving. There was a time when you felt like you had to chase love, when you tried to make every connection the one, when you mistook attention for affection. But God had to interrupt that pattern. He had to bring you into a season where your peace mattered more than your relationship status, because peace is the evidence of alignment. When your heart and God's timing line up, you won't have to force anything. You won't have to beg anyone to stay. You won't have to manipulate outcomes. What's meant for you will naturally fit. This is how divine timing works. It teaches you patience by making you trust that God is still moving even when nothing seems to be happening. It's in the waiting that you learn the rhythm of heaven. It's in the quiet seasons that you discover that peace is not the absence of motion. It's the presence of trust. You start realizing that if it costs you your peace, it's probably not from God. That's why when the right person comes, it won't feel like a whirlwind. It will feel like a divine exhale. You won't have to question their intentions, because the Spirit in you will recognize the Spirit in them. You'll know it's divine timing because you'll feel settled, not stressed. You'll sense God's hand orchestrating the details, aligning circumstances, and confirming His promise through peace that surpasses understanding. You won't have to chase signs. The confirmation will chase you. You'll see how every no was protection, how every delay was redirection, and how every heartbreak was preparation. You'll finally understand that God was never denying you. He was designing something that would stand the test of time. Divine timing also requires you to release control. You can't say, God, I trust you, and still try to manipulate the outcome. Faith isn't passive. It's surrendered. It's saying, Lord, even if it doesn't happen the way I imagined, I know your way is better. That kind of faith produces peace. And that peace becomes your confirmation that God's timing is unfolding exactly as it should. Sometimes peace will feel like silence, but that silence isn't absence. It's strategy. God isn't ignoring you. He's aligning things behind the scenes. He's working on hearts, positioning people, and arranging moments that will collide in divine order. And when it all comes together, you'll look back and say, now I see why it took so long, because everything that comes from God will carry His fingerprint of peace. So stop trying to rush what God is still preparing. Stop comparing your timeline to someone else's. When it's your season, you won't have to announce it. It will announce itself. The same peace that's keeping you right now will be the same peace that confirms this is it. And when that happens, you'll know it wasn't luck, coincidence, or chance. It was divine timing manifesting through peace, not pressure. When God sends confirmation, it often comes before you even meet the manifestation. He speaks to your spirit first, preparing you to recognize the blessing when it arrives. This is how God protects His promises. He whispers before He delivers. He confirms before He moves, and He prepares hearts before He unites them. That's why sometimes you feel that stirring inside, that quiet assurance that this is real, even when the situation hasn't fully unfolded yet. It's God saying, pay attention, because I'm already moving. Plus, that confirmation comes in different forms. Sometimes it's a scripture that won't leave your mind. Sometimes it's a conversation with a friend that seems ordinary but carries extraordinary insight. Sometimes it's an inner knowing, a peace that makes no logical sense but feels undeniable. God uses these confirmations to align your heart with His will, so that when the right person comes into your life, you'll recognize them immediately. It's like God is training your eyes to see, your ears to hear, and your spirit to respond to what He is orchestrating. You have to understand this confirmation is not a suggestion, it's a divine assurance. It's God saying, if I'm already at work behind the scenes, trust me and don't miss it when I show up, Das. When confirmation arrives, it demands obedience, not hesitation. It invites you to step into faith with confidence, because God has already cleared the way. The very things you've been praying for, the clarity, the alignment, the partner, are already moving towards you. And God is simply letting you know that the doors are opening even before you see them. One of the most important aspects of divine confirmation is discernment. Not every feeling, not every coincidence is from God. That's why you have to develop the spiritual sensitivity to recognize His voice. Confirmation often feels calm, consistent, and aligned with your values and God's word. It doesn't pressure you. It doesn't create fear, and it doesn't confuse your spirit. Instead, it strengthens your faith, sharpens your hope, and reassures your heart. When you understand this, you'll stop second guessing the signs. You'll stop wondering if it's real. You'll start walking boldly into your destiny, knowing that God has not only promised you a partner, but has also prepared you to receive them fully. The confirmation is like a divine spotlight, highlighting what is coming so that your spirit can respond in readiness, not panic. And here's the truth: when God confirms, He is not merely giving you hope. He is giving you evidence that His promise is near. That confirmation is a bridge between prayer and provision, between longing and fulfillment, between faith and reality. It's God saying, I'm orchestrating this for you, and you can trust me fully, sis. So pay attention to the confirmations. Receive them, meditate on them. Let them shape your expectations, because God's confirmations aren't random. They are His way of making sure you're ready to embrace the blessing when it arrives. They are His fingerprints on your destiny, showing you that what is coming is already aligned with His perfect plan for your life. The right person will meet the healed version of you, not the wounded version. This is why God spends so much time refining your heart, shaping your character, and cultivating your wisdom before bringing your partner into your life. He knows that if you were still carrying old pain, unresolved anger, or insecurity, love could become a distraction instead of a blessing. But now, after all the seasons of growth, reflection, and sometimes painful lessons, you are being positioned to love from wholeness, not from need. God is intentional about timing. He isn't sending someone to complete you because you are already complete. He's sending someone to complement the life He has already built in you. That's why when this person comes, the connection won't feel forced and the bond won't feel superficial. You'll recognize it immediately because it resonates with the person you've become, the one who has walked through trials, trusted the process, and remained faithful to God's promises. You've learned how to recognize red flags and how to avoid repeating patterns that used to lead to heartbreak. You've discovered what true boundaries look like and how to protect your peace without shutting out love. The right person will not disrupt your growth.